Hey everybody, welcome on our channel. In this video we are gonna see, what if Naruto had earthbending and becomes the Chronicle, Part 1. Huge shout out to ChaosMagemon for this story. If you are new on the channel, don't forget to subscribe our channel and like the video too. So without wasting any more time, let's start the story. It was nighttime in the village of Konoha, and everything looked peaceful. At least from a bird's eye point of view. Down on the ground a blonde-haired boy dressed in dirty clothes, and was no more than 7 years old was running through the streets of the village, as a whole mob of villagers were chasing after him with blunt objects. "Get back here, demon!" a villager shouted. "Tonight's the night you get what you deserve." Another shouted, as he tried throwing a broke glass bottle at the boy, but missed. The boy panted as he ran, but looked ready to pass out. He thought to himself, if I can just hold on I can get to my apartment, and barricade myself in there for the rest of the night. He made a turn and realized he ran right into a dead end. "No!" he cried, before turning around and saw the mob cornering him. Well, we finally caught our demon," a villager said, sounding drunk. "Nowhere to run now, demon," another villager mocked him, as they mob closed in. "What are you gonna do now?" He laughed, causing the others to laugh as well. The boy went from looking scared to angry, and muttered, "Stop it." "Huh?" one of the mob members asked, hearing him faintly. "Stop it," the boy repeated himself before screaming, "Stop calling me demon." He stomped his right foot to the ground and suddenly a fissure was sent from his standing point all the way to a villager's standing point. Emerging from the spot he was standing was a rock pillar that got him in the jaw, sending him up into the air before falling to the ground. "What the hell just happened?" a villager asked. "Did the brat just use earth style?" another wondered. "But he didn't use any hand signs," a villager noted. "Let's get him before he can pull another stunt like that," another called, as they were about to charge him. The child looked worried and threw his arm out trying to shield himself. "Get away." Suddenly shooting from his palm was a blast of fire, that got caught on a villager's shirt. "Fire! I'm on fire!" the villager cried, as he dropped to the ground and rolled around to put it out. Now he used fire style without using hand signs. "He really is a monster," another villager declared. Suddenly smoke bombs were thrown around the mob, and the villagers were caught in the smoke screen, and when it cleared, they were on the ground unconscious. Appearing before them was a group of Umbu. The one in the dog mask turned to the others, "Take these fools to Ibiki," they nodded and took the mob away. The one Umbu looked to the boy, "Naruto, sorry we didn't get here sooner." "Inu, something happened. I shot fire from my hand, but it wasn't ninjutsu." The boy identified as Naruto explained in worry. "You what?" "Yeah, and when I stomped my foot on the ground this rock popped out." He mimed how it happened. Behind the mask, the one identified as Inu was curious. "I better inform this to Hokage-sama." "What do I do, Inu, is something wrong with me?" Naruto asked in worry. Inu got down to the boy's level and laid a hand on his shoulder comforting him. "It's okay, Naruto. There's nothing wrong with you. Let's go to the Hokage and clear things up." "Okay," Naruto answered, as Inu left with him. Later on inside the village administration building, Hiruzen Sarutobi, the third Hokage sat at his desk until he heard a knock at his door. Enter. Entering the room was Inu and Naruto. "Hey, Gigi." Naruto greeted the old man. "Naruto, Kakashi." The old man wondered, before turning to the Umbu he referred to as Kakashi, again. "I'm afraid so, sir," Kakashi answered, "but something different happened this time." "Different?" Hiruzen asked puzzled. "Yes." Naruto made the earth move with his foot and shot fire from his hand without using ninjutsu. The shinobi explained. Hiruzen looked surprised before turning to Naruto. "Naruto, is this true?" "Yes, Gigi, but I swear I didn't mean to. It just happened." Naruto pleaded. Hiruzen got up and walked over to the boy, Byo for calming him. "It's okay, Naruto. I'm not mad." You aren't. The old man shook his head. Then how did I do it? The old man continued, everything will be explained to you, Naruto. But for now I think it's best you get some sleep. And tomorrow you will get the answers you seek. Naruto nodded, before Kakashi escorted him off. When Hiruzen was left alone in his office again, he thought to himself, there's no doubt about it. Naruto is the one. I best send word of this right away. He quickly started writing up a message before rolling it up. He left the office and went into a room containing messenger birds. He placed his message inside one of the bird's cases around its neck, and spoke. To the Southern Air Temple, at once. He ordered, as the bird took off. The bird flew that night traveling south, before reaching a temple located atop a tall mountain past the clouds. It flew into the temple, and perched on a statue before an old woman with grayish hair, an upside-down arrow tattooed on her forehead, and was wearing a monk's outfit. She was in a lotus position meditating, until she saw the bird. She stood up and spoke, well, awfully late for a message. She checked the scroll and saw a leaf symbol on it, a message from the village of Konoha. She unraveled the scroll and read its contents to herself before letting out a faint gasp, so it's finally happened. The Avatar has been reborn. The very next morning back in Konoha, Naruto was at his apartment looking at his hand thinking about what happened last night. I can make fire and move the ground, and it's not ninjutsu. He pondered to himself, until he heard a knock at his door. He walked over cautiously, fearing it was someone looking to give him a hard time. He looked through the peephole and saw it was Kakashi. He sighed in relief, before opening the door. Inu? He asked. Naruto, the Hokage requests your presence immediately. Naruto, feeling he was going to get the answers he was promised, answered, then let's go. Inu nodded, as they headed off. When they arrived at the building, they walked down the hall before reaching the Hokage's office. Kakashi knocked on the door, and they heard the Hokage from inside, come in. So Kakashi opened the door, and he and Naruto stepped inside. When they entered, Naruto noticed the Hokage and an old woman with him. The Hokage greeted them, good morning, Naruto. I have someone who's come a long way just to meet you. Naruto was puzzled as he saw the elder woman approach, so this is Naruto. Aren't you a sweet child? She smiled. Naruto was still confused and bluntly asked, who are you, Oba-san? Hiruzen looked shocked, Naruto, show some respect to our guest. The woman chuckled, oh, it's quite all right, Hiruzen. He reminds me of my brother when we were children. Hiruzen nodded, and cleared his throat, Naruto, may I introduce you to Master Jinora, Master Airbender from the Southern Air Temple. Airbender? Southern Air Temple? Naruto asked, puzzled. Jinora nodded, yes. I've come all this way from the south to meet you. But why? Naruto asked. Hiruzen answered, you wanted an answer as to how you were able to control fire and earth without using hand signs for ninjutsu. Well, Naruto, the answers can be found by Jinora here. Naruto looked to Jinora, who answered, you, Naruto, are the Avatar. The boy looked confused before asking, Avatar? What's an avatar? Jinora explained, the Avatar, Naruto, is the bridge between our world and the spirit world. At least that's how it was before our worlds learned to live together. I'm confused here. Naruto answered, still not getting any of it. Hiruzen spoke to the old woman, you should start from the beginning. Quite right. Jinora agreed, as the Hokage closed the windows and dropped the drapes. After sealing the door shut with a seal, Jinora started setting up a bowl in the center of the room while spreading a circle of salt around it. She placed some petals and herbs in the bowl, before Hiruzen used a fire jutsu into the bowl. Jinora, utilizing wind with the flames, suddenly created a spiritual-looking vision above them showing a land. What is that? That was the world 10,000 years ago, Jinora began. During that time there were the humans and the spirits. The spirits lived out in the wild, while the humans lived in villages. 4 to be precise. Each village was protected by a lion turtle, a creature that could bestow upon a human the power of fire, air, water, and earth. Naruto looked at the visions, seeing each lion turtle bestowing upon certain people said abilities, but took them back when the humans were done with using them. Jinchuriki continued, the abilities were mostly used to protect them for whenever they set out of their villages and into the wild for food and sustenance. Until one day, a young man managed to permanently acquire the fire from the lion turtle for good. Naruto saw appearing in the vision was a young man wearing red garb and had brown hair sticking up. Behold Wan, the man who would become the first avatar. Him? Naruto asked Jinchuriki, who nodded and continued on. Wan lived in poverty like many others in his village while under the reign of the Cho family. Because of this he would steal from said family in order to feed his two closest friends. Then one day he devised a plan that would be able to help him in standing up to the Chos. He volunteered to join a group of hunters who needed to go into the wild for food. After receiving the element of fire from the lion turtle, he chickened out and requested to return home. The hunters allowed him but told him to return the fire he received back to the lion turtle. He did not, however. With the power of fire at his command he rallied his fellow poverty-stricken neighbors into raiding the Cho family. However, their attempts were unsuccessful and Wan was banished from his home. However, to protect himself, the lion turtle granted Wan's last request and was allowed to keep the fire. Whoa! Naruto gasped, as he watched the memory play. Wan had traveled the spirit wilds alone with only his fire for protection. With little food and barely time to sleep, he struggled through the treacherous lands. Then one day he happened upon a spirit oasis and tried to get it, only to be rejected by the spirit who did not allow humans into it. Wan left determined to find somewhere else to call home, until he happened upon the very hunters attempting to capture a cat deer. He fought the hunters and with the help from the spirit of the oasis drove them off. The spirit, touched by Wan's act of selflessness, decided to let him stay. Naruto watched as the moths passed. Wan grew to form a bond with the spirits and even training until his firebending skill became an extension of his own body. 2 years after Wan's banishment he set out into the world determined to find the other lion turtle cities. Little did he know that his travels would lead him to the two greatest spirits that have existed since the beginning of time itself. Who were they? Naruto asked. The light spirit Rava and the dark spirit Vato, Jinchuriki answered. As Naruto saw the flashback play between the two spirits and Wan pleaded for them to stop their destruction, but Rava insisted that their business did not concern him. Vato however took advantage of Wan's goodness and tricked him into severing him from Rava. Vato took off, leaving Rava to explain to him the result of what his action done. And that was? Vato and Rava were in constant struggle with each other so that Vato could not spread his darkness and corruption across the land. Naruto listened in for more, Wan realizing the error his action offered to help, but Rava rejected his offer and took off on her own to find Vato. When they would meet again, Wan had arrived at another lion turtle city that resided nomad people with the ability to manipulate the air or airbending. Vato had found his way there and turned the good spirits of their city into dark spirits, allowing him to grow stronger and Rava weaker. Rava, seeing there was no other way given her weakening state, allowed Wan to help her. With help from the lion turtle of the air city, Wan was granted the ability to bend the air around him, so long as Rava would hold onto it for him. For no human could hold on to more than one element at once. Naruto watched as Wan and Rava traveled to the other two lion turtle cities, where Wan acquired the ability to bend water and earth. In order for Wan to use another element, Rava had to fuse with him to do so, but worried that the pressure would destroy him. But Wan would not give up in stopping Vato from corrupting the world with darkness. Eventually Wan happened upon his friends from his former home and the spirits he learned to live with. Both sides were at war, and Wan tried to reason with them, but the negative and hostile energies from the humans caused Wan's spirit friends to become dark spirits, which Vato continued to feed off of. Wan and Rava fused to try and stop him but were unsuccessful, and Wan's friends lost their lives and Rava was on the verge of ceasing to exist. But Wan wasn't going to have it. He carried Rava in a simple teapot he took with him upon leaving his home. They traveled to the spirit world where they would face Vato in a final showdown. Naruto saw Wan and Rava fuse together and become one, allowing him to fight Vato on an even field. Vato was defeated and sealed inside of a tree. Jinora continued, after Vatu's imprisonment, one had the spirits retreat into the spirit world and seal off the link between both our world and theirs. Since then, one tried to maintain balance in the world, trying to encourage the 4 groups of people from the 4 different cities to coexist peacefully. Unfortunately, the 4 groups of benders were not so easily persuaded to coexist and waged war time after time. When Juan was at the end of his life, he felt he failed Rava in trying to bring peace to the world. But Rava promised him they would always be together and that this mission of achieving peace will continue on for the rest of his next lives. That is how the Avatar cycle began. The vision vanished, as Hiruzen pulled up the shades to shine some light. Naruto was amazed. Wow. So one tried to bring order and balance to the world, but was unable to accomplish it? I'm afraid so. And since then Rava and Juan's spirit was reincarnated into another bender where it would be their mission to carry on where Juan left off at and following from then on. How does anyone know who the next avatar is? Naruto asked. Jinora explained, the avatar is the only existing being in the world that can master all 4 elements. But to determine who it is they must also follow the cycle. Juan started off as a firebender, and learned airbending, waterbending, and earthbending. And this has been going on for at least 10,000 years. Naruto wondered. Correct. And now the cycle of the Avatar has begun anew with you. Jinora concluded. So what bender am I naturally born as? Naruto inquired. Our last Avatar was a waterbender, which would make you an earthbender by blood. The old woman explained. An earthbender by blood? Naruto asked, then my parents had to be earthbenders or something, right? Hiruzen looked guilty, but also determined. Naruto, it's time I told you the truth about your parents. He walked to his desk and opened a drawer. He popped open a hidden compartment underneath it and pulled out some documents. He stood before Naruto, before crouching down and handed the documents to him. What are these? Naruto asked, puzzled. These are the files I was requested to dispose of, but I could not. I would just be dishonoring the ones who gave their lives the most to protect our village. He explained. Naruto saw a picture of a red-haired woman dressed as a Konoha shinobi. He looked at the name above and gasped, Kushina Uzumaki. Gigi, this woman, is she? Hiruzen nodded, yes, Naruto. This woman is your mother. Naruto looked at the picture of the beautiful woman, as a tear was forming in his eye. Mom, he started getting sadder, but had to put on a brave face. What more can you tell me of my mom? Hiruzen explained, well, Naruto, Kushina Uzumaki was an earthbender born into the Uzumaki clan. They once hailed in another village, until it was wiped out by other nations. Many members fled to safety but others weren't so lucky. Back then both our villages had an alliance, which was strengthened by the fact the first Hokage was married to an Uzumaki. He was? Naruto asked curiously. Yes. In fact the spirals you find on most of our village's shinobi's vests is the trademark symbol of Uzushio. Now then, your mother was a very loving and caring woman, but was also hot-headed and loud. Kinda like you are, he chuckled. While Naruto pouted in embarrassment, she grew into a loyal shinobi and eventually married a man she knew since they were kids. A man who would grow up to become a hero of our village. Naruto listened to his words and remembered one shinobi brought up in many conversations between ninja alike in Konoha who was considered a hero. Gigi, do you mean the Yandai Mei Hokage? Hiruzen without a second thought nodded in confirmation, but if he was married to my mom, then that would mean. Hiruzen answered, yes, Naruto. Our Yandai Mei Hokage, Minato Namikaze, is your father. Naruto's eyes were suddenly filling up with more tears, as he spoke, the Yandai Mei, my idol, is my father. Jinora could tell how troubling it was for Naruto to process all that was told to him, until the boy spoke up, why wasn't I told about this? The old man came clean with him, I wanted to tell you the moment you first asked me who your parents were, Naruto. Really I did. Unfortunately my former teammates and shall we say others objected against my wish and wanted all knowledge of your parents kept from you. Why? Because for one thing, if you carried your father's last name it would attract the attention of certain rivals in the other nations who would come to take you away, he began, but another wanted all information withheld from you so he could try and use you to his advantage. Who? And why? Hiruzen sighed, knowing Naruto wouldn't like this. Danzo Shimura, an old acquaintance of mine who works on my council. He wanted all information withheld from you so that he could try and turn you into a living weapon for the village. A living weapon? How could I be used as a weapon? Naruto pondered. Did he know I could have been the Avatar? No, and thank goodness he didn't know or even suspect anything back then. The old man sighed in relief. He wanted to make a weapon out of you, by using what you have inside you. Naruto was once again confused. Inside me? Gigi, is there something else I should know? Yes. You know the events that happened in the village 7 years ago when you were born? Yeah. The village was invaded by the nine-tailed fox spirit, until the Yandai defeated it. Or is there more to that story than what we were told? He asked suspiciously. Sadly, yes. Your father did not merely defeat the nine tails, rather he sealed it away inside another at the cost of his own life. Sealed inside? Naruto pondered, until he realized, he sealed it inside me, didn't he? Yes, Naruto. Hiruzen answered in shame of himself. Naruto looked down. Now I know why they all call me demon. Hiruzen didn't want Naruto to let the villagers' words ignite a spark of hatred any more than they already did to him. Do not believe their words, Naruto. Believe me when I say your father wanted you to be remembered as a hero, but the villagers here are too blinded by their own hate for the demon and sorrow for the loss of their loved ones who died that day to see that you are just the cell and not the jailer inside it. I even made a law that forbade everyone from mentioning about what you house inside you. That doesn't make it any easier for me. Naruto cried. I know. I blame myself, Hiruzen said. I should have been the one to perform the ritual, but your father insisted it'd be him. I'm not sure why he wanted it to be you, but he had to have chosen you for a very special reason. Well, I haven't seen it. Naruto said dryly. Jinora laid a hand on his shoulder. I believe one day you will discover the truth as to why he did what he did, Naruto. Naruto sighed. If you say so. Now back to this whole Avatar thing, what's going to happen now? Hiruzen began. As the new Avatar, it is supposed to be your mission to maintain order in the world just as the Avatars that came before you. Sounds like a big job. Even bigger than being Hokage. Naruto replied in worry. It is, Jinora confirmed, but before that you must learn to master all 4 elements before you can be fully recognized as the Avatar. How can I master the elements? By training with those who have already mastered each of the 4 elements. For example, I am a master airbender. She demonstrated by creating miniature typhoon in her palm. Cool. Naruto gasped in excitement. Hiruzen spoke up, but to master these elements, I'm afraid you will have to do it somewhere outside the village. Why outside the village? Naruto asked in confusion. It would not be wise if everyone in the village found out we were housing the next Avatar. As you've seen how they can be just by knowing what you hold inside you, imagine their reactions if they suddenly found out you were meant to be the next hope for the world. Naruto processed it and realized if anyone found out about him being the Avatar at this point he would be hated even more so. He answered, I see your point. So where would I go? Jinora spoke, you would come to me to the Southern Air Temple, where you will learn about each of the 4 elements and everything else you need to know about being the Avatar. Hiruzen added, but this will not come to you so easily. You will be required to remain away from the village during your training for who knows how long. Naruto pondered on it, before reaching an answer. Hey, in the words of Wan to the I spirit, I've had enough of villagers. The 2 old ones couldn't help but laugh at Naruto's words. Jinora cleared her throat. If that's your decision, then we shall leave at once. Really? Shouldn't I pack anything? Naruto asked. The woman answered, not to worry. Everything you need will be provided for you there. There is something you can take with you. Hiruzen spoke up. What's that? Naruto wondered, until the Hokage picked up a few scrolls and handed them to Naruto. Inside those scrolls contain jutsu for you to learn. Some of which are standard taijutsu and ninjutsu and other styles being more advanced for when you grow. Some also contain elemental ninjutsu as well. Think of them as extensions of helping you learn how to use the 4 elements. Thanks, Gigi. Naruto smiled happily. We best leave at once. Jinora said, as Hiruzen showed her and Naruto out of his office. When they stood on top of the building rooftop, Naruto was confused, so how do we get to the Southern Air Temple? Jinora held out a whistle shaped like a bison, with this. She blew into it. Naruto was confused since he heard nothing, only for a big white fury bison to float down and land on the roof, startling him. What the hell is that thing? Naruto cried in shock. Naruto, say hello to Pepper. Jinora introduced them, as the creature named Pepper let out a happy grunt. What is this? Naruto asked her. This, Naruto, is a sky bison. Sky bison? Yes. They were commonly used by the air nomads in the past when they needed to venture out into the world. In fact, sky bison were considered the first type of airbenders. The mark on my forehead and many other masters that came before me modeled them after the marking you see on Pepper or any other sky bison. Way cool. Naruto said in excitement. Jinora nodded, as she used airbending to help herself jump onto Pepper's head. Hiruzen lifted Naruto up and placed him in the saddle. Naruto spoke to the old man sadly, I guess this is it, huh, Gigi? Don't worry, Naruto. It's not goodbye after all. Hiruzen comforted him. Naruto smiled with hope, yeah. I'll come back one day. I know it. Jinora spoke to Hiruzen, we'll be sure to give you letters on Naruto's progress from time to time. And in return I shall also inform you and Naruto of the status here in the village. The Hokage added. Jinora nodded, and motioned to Naruto, hang on tight, Naruto. Naruto nodded and took a seat while hanging on. Jinora cracked the reins, Pepper, yip yip. And with that, the sky bison hovered off the ground for a moment before flying off into the sky, as Hiruzen watched them depart. Good luck, Naruto. He thought to himself. As Pepper flew across the sky, Jinora looked back, seeing Naruto looking out into the distance of the sky and down below, seeing how high up they were. Jinora smiled at seeing Naruto's excited look and thought to herself, Korra, I know somewhere deep inside you will be watching over Naruto. And I know you will come to his aid when he needs you the most. After a long flight to the south, Jinora's sky bison, Pepper landed outside the temple. Jinora used airbending on herself and Naruto to bring them safely onto the ground. Jinora spoke to the boy, welcome, Naruto, to the Southern Air Temple. Naruto looked all around in amaze, wow. It's like the whole temple's in the sky. Jinora chuckled, well, these temples were built up to this high altitude to keep intruders from trying to reach them. I wanna see more of this place. Naruto jumped up in excitement. Take it easy, Naruto. You will see more of the temple, but for now follow me. Jinora led Naruto into the temple. As they walked, Naruto saw multiple people dressed in monk garments similar to Jinora. They had bald heads and were practicing airbending. Naruto watched in awe at how they were able to move the air around them like Jinora could. Jinora. A voice called. The two looked up ahead and saw an old man about Jinora's age approaching them. He had dark skin, an arrow tattoo on his forehead like Jinora, and grayish hair. Kai. Jinora smiled as the two embraced and kissed, much to Naruto's repulse at watching old people kiss each other. The man named Kai asked, so how did it go? We have our avatar, Kai. Jinora answered, and turned around, Naruto, come here. Naruto approached, as Jinora continued, Naruto, this is my husband and fellow airbender, Kai. Kai, this is Naruto Uzumaki. The old man shook Naruto's hand, and spoke, well, it's very nice to meet you, Naruto. Likewise, sir. He replied. Kai and I have been living here at the Southern Air Temple training new generations of airbenders. Jinora explained. And it looks like we got ourselves a new pupil. Kai joked. I guess so. So when I do start training? Naruto asked. Before we get into any training, Naruto. Kai and I would like to educate you on the last few avatars. There is much about them you should know. Sure. Naruto said, as he followed the elder couple into the temple. The three entered a room loaded with statues. Naruto looked at them all and wondered, what's with these statues? Jinora explained, these statues are memorials for past avatars. There are so many. Naruto gasped. Kai nodded, that's right. 10,000 years worth of avatars. Jinora motioned Naruto to look at one statue of Wan and Rava, see there. This is in memory of Wan and Rava. Take a look at some of them. She insisted. Naruto walked up to some of the statues and looked up at them, squinting at them, so all of these guys were my past lives. Kai answered, precisely. Aside from such avatars as Wan, there was also Avatar Yangchen, Avatar Kuruk, Avatar Kyoshi, Avatar Roku, Avatar Aang, and finally. Naruto answered as he was looking up at a statue, Korra. The elder couple saw Naruto was standing before the last of the statues which depicted the last known avatar, Korra. Jinora smiled, though you've never met Korra, you remember her because she was your past life. So how is it I wasn't able to remember the others' names? Naruto wondered. Because the old connection to the past avatars was destroyed. Jinora answered. Destroyed, how? Jinora continued, before we get into it, let me tell you a story known as the 100-Year War. The three sat down, as Naruto asked, 100-Year War. Yes. This all started a long time ago. During the time of Avatar Roku, his friend, Fire Lord Sozin sought to spread his homeland the Fire Nation worldwide. The other nations weren't willing to let the Fire Lord take their nations, and so that set the stage for the 100-Year War. When Roku's time came to an end, the Avatar was reborn as an air nomad by the name of Aang, who would one day be known as my grandfather. Aang was a happy boy who learned everything under the guidance of monk Gyatso. Then one day, Gyatso and the rest of the Air Temple sages revealed to Aang that he was the Avatar and was needed due to the war that had been going on. This news was very nerve-wracking to Aang, and if not worse, his own fellow airbenders started rejecting him, feeling as if him being the Avatar was an unfair advantage in their airbending games. I know how that feels. Naruto sighed. Jinora continued, the pressures the sages put on Aang with his training and responsibilities was unbearable to him, but Monk Gyatso tried to make sure Aang had a balanced life that still included fun. However, the other sages thought Gyatso was being too soft on him and planned to move Aang to another air temple away from Gyatso. Unfortunately, Aang overheard their plans and could no longer stay. One night he ran away with his sky bison Appa, and the two ended up caught in a very bad storm. The two ended up falling into the ocean and almost drowned. However, Aang was able to activate the Avatar state and used waterbending to freeze himself and Appa in solid ice, preserving themselves. Whoa! The blonde gasped. Then 100 years later, my grandmother Katara and granduncle Sokka from the Southern Water Tribe found Aang and he was released. That day the two ventured with Aang across the world, helping him search for masters to train him the other three bending arts so he would be able to take on Fire Lord Sozin's successor Fire Lord Ozai, who wiped out every other airbender in the world while Aang was on ice. It was a long and perilous journey, but Aang with the help of his friends and allies were able to defeat Fire Lord Ozai and bring peace to the four nations. Aang would go on since then, accomplishing many more great things. Aang sounded like an amazing avatar. Jinora nodded, that he was. He had a title of being known as the last airbender, since the airbender genocide. So if he was the last airbender, how did the air nomads become populated again? Naruto inquired. Well, Aang and Katara settled down and started a family composed of my uncle Bumi, Aunt Kia who was born a waterbender, and finally my father Tenzin, who would be the first new airbender in 100 years. My father took it as his responsibility to his culture and his father to carry on the air nomad legacy. Eventually he met a woman named Pema who would one day become a mother to four. Four. Yes. There was myself and my siblings Iki, Milo, and Rohan. All four of us were born airbenders and could help our father in restarting the air nomads. Kai spoke up, but during Korra's time she performed an act that awoke an airbending in several normal people. Me included. So you weren't always an airbender? Naruto asked. No. I was once a normal boy, a thief to be precise. You were a thief? Yes. I would always play a tricky con by smuggling and stealing anything valuable until I met Korra, Jinora, and their friends. They brought me to the Northern Air Temple where I first learned the basics of airbending. Since then and over the years I eventually became a master airbender. He motioned to his tattoo. Wow, Naruto gasped, so what can you tell me about Korra? Jinora explained, Korra was born in the Southern Water Tribe. My gran helped teach her the ways of her native bending style with water, and as the years followed she learned how to use earth and fire bending from masters of the Earth Kingdom and the Fire Nation. When it was time for her to learn airbending, she came all the way to Republic City to train with my father. Republic City? The boy wondered. Kai explained, after the events of the 100-Year War, Aang and his friend Zuko founded this metropolis as a haven for immigrants of all four nations, bender and non-bender. Sounds like a paradise. Naruto smiled. Well, not always, Jinora admitted, much to Naruto's confusion. Republic City was also famous for its rising crimes and gangs. One of the worst types of gangs was a cult known as Equalists. What's an Equalist? The Equalists was a cult for non-benders to stand up to benders that made them feel oppressed. Jinora explained, their leader was a man known as Amon, who wanted to lead a revolution against all the benders of Republic City which would lead to a city war. But Korra put a stop to him and exposed him as a fraud, thus ending the Equalists. Neat. Naruto smiled. Kai spoke, we'll be happy to tell you more about the life of Korra and many other stories, but you must be hungry after that long fly. I'm starving. Naruto admitted. Then follow us. Jinora said, as the old couple got up and led Naruto off. Soon they were having a healthy dinner of vegetable dishes, while Naruto looked at all the leafy greens with a disturbed look. Is this all there is here? Sorry, Naruto, but here at the air temples, the monks are vegetarians, Kai explained, as Naruto looked dismal at the thought of not being able to eat ramen. Don't worry, you'll get used to it. He chuckled to the boy. Naruto spoke, so what type of bending will I be learning first, air, fire, water? Jinora chuckled, slow down, Naruto. Don't get ahead of yourself. Before you begin learning any of those forms, you must first learn earth bending, your birth bending from your mother. Okay, but who can I learn from since you're all airbenders here? Jinora smiled, Kai and I have some old friends who I know would be more than willing to teach you. Who? Naruto asked excitedly. Kai answered, the last team Avatar. As the sun rose over the temple, its light shined into the window of a room Naruto was set up in. He groaned as the light shined on his face, and tried to block it out with his pillow. He then heard the door to his bedroom open up, and stepping in was Kai. Rise and shine, Naruto. He greeted the boy, who responded with a groan before opening his eyes and replying. Mr. Kai, I'm not a morning person. Well, neither was I or any of the new airbenders Master Tenzin taught, but we got used to it, Kai answered, come on, breakfast will be ready soon. Naruto sat up and spoke, you drive a hard bargain. He got up and made his bed. He followed Kai to the dining hall where Jinora and many airbenders and acolytes were already enjoying a nutritious meal. Jinora saw the two, and greeted the boy, Naruto, good morning. Good morning, Master Jinora. He greeted her back. I trust you slept well. About the best sleep I've ever had. The bed in that room is comfier than my one back home. I'm glad to hear it. Now eat up and get ready. You got a full day of learning earthbending, and we have guests coming today. She instructed. Yes, ma'am. Naruto said as he ate his breakfast with the others. About an hour later, after Naruto took a shower, he got changed into a pair of gray shorts and a green shirt. He waited patiently with Jinora and Kai outside the temple. How much longer? He asked, getting impatient. Any moment now, Naruto. Kai calmed him. Jinora looked up and smiled. There they are. Naruto looked up and saw another sky bison descend to the ground. Using airbending to come down were 3 airbenders, both looking old like Jinora and Kai. One was a woman with 2 buns in her hair, the second was a man with gray hair and a small goatee, and the third was another man a bit younger and not as old but still nearing the end of his prime. Like Jinora and Kai, all they bore the airbending master arrow tattoos. Following them were 3 more figures who looked even older than the airbenders. They were 2 old men, with one carrying a fire ferret on his shoulder, another wearing a red scarf around his neck, and 2 old women. Milo, Ikki, Rohan. Jinora called, as the woman embraced the 4 airbenders. Kai spoke to the other 3, Mako, Asami, Opal, Bolin. He hugged them. Hey, Kai, good to see you. The one known as Mako greeted him. How are things up here? Asami asked. Couldn't be better. It's been a while since we last saw each other. How's retirement from Future Industries going? Kai asked. Oh, such a relief. I'm still up to date with the news Ayumi sends me. The man Milo spoke up. Okay, sis, where is he? Ikki spoke. Yeah, where is the guest of honor? Jinora smiled and looked over. Naruto, come over here, please. Naruto walked over and looked up at all the old people looking curious. Kai spoke up. Naruto, we'd like to introduce you to Milo, Rohan, Ikki, Mako, Bolin, Opal, and Asami. Jinora finished. Guys, meet Naruto Uzumaki, our new avatar. The group gathered around and lowered themselves down to his level. Mako spoke up first. Nice to meet ya, kid. He extended his hand. Naruto, looking at him, felt this feeling he could trust him, and shook his hand. Nice to meet you too, I guess, Naruto replied, until the fire ferret jumped from Bolin's shoulder and onto Naruto's head. Hey. Bolin laughed. Don't worry. Pabo the Third is harmless. Pabo the Third? Naruto asked, as the fire ferret crawled onto his shoulder. Yeah. I used to have a fire ferret named Pabu who ended up becoming a dad, and well, one of his kids had a litter of his own. Bolin explained. Naruto chuckled, as Pabu the Third started licking his face. Hey, come on, that tickles. Ikki spoke. So this is Korra's legacy? Naruto, hearing that name, asked, you know Korra? Milo answered, you bet, kid. We knew her when we were around your age. Jinora explained, as she held her sibs close. These are my 3 siblings, Naruto. So you're airbenders too? Naruto asked. Rohan answered, Oha. As we got older, we each were stationed at a certain air temple to train more airbenders. Jinora and Kai occupy the temple here in the south. When the northern air temple was rebuilt years ago, Ikki was stationed there. I was stationed at the western air temple, and Milo was stationed at the east. Wow. Naruto was amazed. Mako spoke up. Bolin, Asami, and I were Korra's closest friends when she moved to Republic City. We were the new Team Avatar, carrying on the legacy of Avatar Aang and his team. Bolin put in. We helped Korra face a lot of dangers during her Avatar days. Asami added. Those were the good old days. Mako admitted. Bro, don't say it like that, you make me feel old. Bolin moaned. Naruto spoke. But you are old. The group laughed at Naruto's blunt reminder. As Jinora spoke, I brought them here because Mako and Bolin can help train you to become the Avatar. How? The boy wondered. Bolin answered, I happen to be an earthbender, Naruto. And Mako's a firebender. Mako continued, since Korra was our best friend who helped me and Bolin out of more jams than we've ever been in our lives. We owe it to her to teach the new Avatar how to use the bending we're naturals at. Naruto nodded in understanding before looking at Opal and Asami. Then, is one of you a waterbender? Actually, I'm an airbender. Opal admitted. And I'm not a bender. Asami added. Jinora laid a hand on Naruto's shoulder. Don't worry, Naruto. Until you learn to master earth, fire, and air, you won't have to learn about waterbending. But don't worry, we know someone who can teach you. But until then just focus on learning the other 3 elements. If you say so. Bolin spoke up, so if it's true, you're a born earthbender. Apparently so. Then I'll be the one to teach you your native bending first. He smiled. Right here? Naruto asked, as he looked around. I don't think so, Jinora replied, we don't need rocks getting thrown around the temple. So where can we do it? Naruto asked. Opal spoke, don't worry, we'll take you someplace to train. She and Bolin led Naruto to the sky bison they came on. They climbed on board, as Opal took the reins, Juicy, yip yip. And so the bison took off. Juicy landed in a rock quarry down the mountain of the air temple. Bolin examined the quarry, this seems like an appropriate spot. Yes, we'll start your earthbending here. All right. Naruto cheered. As he got ready. Bolin continued, first off, watch and see how I do earthbending. Bolin took a stand and performed some earthbending moved with pebbles and boulders. Naruto watched in amaze at how the old man was controlling the earth around him. When Bolin finished, he saw Naruto applaud, you liked that, huh? That was amazing. I'm glad you think so. With the right training you'll be able to do that and possibly more. Really? With training and practice. Bolin replied. Well, let's get started. Naruto jumped up, while getting pumped. Okay, first we need to get you into the right stance, Bolin said, as he helped Naruto stand in the proper earthbending stance, that's it. Now you must concentrate. Be the earth. Be the earth? Naruto asked puzzled. Yes. To earthbend you must feel one with the earth you stand on. Okay. I'll try. He tried concentrating, but so far nothing happened. He sighed, I got nothing. Bolin wasn't going to let him give up, nor was he gonna give up on him. Jinora did mention you told her you earthbended before. Yeah, but it had to be a fluke that I got it, right? Not quite. How were you feeling when you first did it? Bolin inquired. Well, I was mad and upset when a villager was insulting me. Bolin nodded, you triggered your earthbending through strong emotions. Most beginning benders are able to first trigger their abilities with their emotions. But we'll need to train you to grasp it so that you can use it no matter what you're feeling. Okay, let's try again. Naruto said, as he got back into the stance. So Bolin continued to teach Naruto. Though it took a few tries, Naruto was starting to get the hang of it. He eventually was able to lift a few medium-sized boulders up from the ground. When he tried launching them at a target he was off by a lot. Almost hit Bolin by accident. Eventually they decided to take a break, and were having lunch that Opal packed beforehand. As they ate, Naruto spoke up, so could you tell me some stories from your past? Like how did you ended up becoming friends with Korra? Bolin smiled, well, this was many years ago, when Mako and I were teenagers. Back then we were pro-bending players. Pro-bending? Naruto asked. Opal answered, a sport developed for benders. It's really popular in Republic City. Bolin continued, Mako, I, along with another were known as the Fire Ferrets, and it was our dream to make it to the finals. Though we were good, we weren't exactly the best. Korra who came to Republic City to train with Master Tenzin snuck away from him to come watch a bending match, which we were playing in. I was glad to have met her, but Mako at the time was indifferent. But the next night, our third teammate was a no-show. We were almost disqualified, until Korra stepped in and we could compete. Though Korra was off to a rocky start as a pro bender, she managed to win us the game. Since then she trained with us as we were on our way to the finals. She even saved me when I was captured by a bunch of creeps. Wow! Naruto gasped. Yeah. But despite all the tough times that negative people Korra attracted, Mako and I always stuck by her side and faced the dangers together. You guys sounded really close. Naruto smiled. Yeah, we were like a family. Bolin replied, feeling nostalgic. Family. Naruto repeated, as he started getting emotional. Bolin continued, Mako and I can relate to you, Naruto. What? He and I lost our parents when we were kids, Bolin explained, much to Naruto's surprise. We spent time on the streets doing what we could to survive. We even got involved with a bad crowd. Really? Yeah. Those were days I don't miss. Naruto, deciding to change the subject, asked, so how did you and Opal meet? Opal answered, well, this was a long time ago, when we were still young. I was in a city known as Zaofu, home to the Metal Clan. Metal Clan? Naruto wondered. I'll get to that. Bolin at the time was traveling around with Korra looking for new airbenders. And I happened to be one of them. You might say I fell in love with Bolin's goofy and funny personality. Bolin smiled. She continued, I almost wasn't sure if I was going to even go to the air temple to learn, because I was afraid of disappointing my mother if I left home. But I learned from her it was time I started going my own way and not try so hard to please her. Eventually we settled down and started a family. We've got a son who coaches a junior pro bending team in Republic City. Cool. Opal smiled, and decided to share some more history. You know, I happen to be related to the earthbender who taught Avatar Aang during his time. You do? Naruto asked in interest. Opal nodded, my grandmother, Toph Beifong. Could you tell me the story about her, please? Naruto pleaded. Opal chuckled, okay. Grandma Toph was born blind, and her parents sheltered her thinking her blindness made her fragile and helpless. They had high expectations of her, expecting her to be well-mannered and behave due to their noble status in the Earth Kingdom. One day Toph ran away from home and into a cave of some blind badgermoles who were said to be the first creature to master earthbending and taught it to humans. She learned how to use earthbending by mimicking their movements. After training she learned how to see by sensing the vibrations that pass through the ground. That's cool. Naruto admitted. Opal continued, as she got older she decided to use her earthbending as part of a fighting tournament which she would sneak off behind her parents' backs to attend. That's where she first met Avatar Aang, Sokka, and Katara. Aang automatically wanted her to teach him to earthbend, but she declined. She gained a stubborn streak and independent personality while being isolated from the outside world. But after putting up with her parents' worries and constant overprotectiveness she left home and traveled with Aang, teaching him how to earthbend, while also discovering a new form of earthbending. A new form? Naruto wondered. Yes. It was called metal bending. Metal bending? Bolin answered, it's when an earthbender has the ability to bend metal objects. Though not every earthbender can do it. I should know. He admitted sheepishly. Not so good, I take it? Naruto asked. Nope. But I did learn a second form of earthbending. It's called lava bending. Lava bending? Sounds awesome. Naruto gasped. It sure is. Bolin nodded. Opal continued on, although Grandma Toph wasn't exactly the best person to get along with, especially for Ms. Katara, she proved that she would always come through for her friends in the end. I also heard she had a crush on Sokka. She chuckled. Really? Naruto gasped. Yes, but Sokka was already into someone else. Anyway, after the 100-Year War she became head of the law enforcement in Republic City as police chief. She and various trained officers trained in metal bending would try to keep peace and uphold the law in the city. She eventually got married twice and had 2 daughters from each husband, my mother Sue and my Aunt Lin. Naruto listened well, as Opal continued, Grandma felt her daughters deserved a better life than the one she had when she was raised. So she gave my mom and aunt more freedom than she did, hoping it would help them find their own paths. It didn't go as well as she hoped. My Aunt Lin, wanting to make my grandma proud, became a cop like her, while my mom was sort of a rebel. A rebel? Naruto asked. Yeah. Surprised me when I found out, Opal admitted. Anyway, there was a moment where our family nearly fell apart. You see, Aunt Lin caught my mother who was involved in theft and brought her in. Grandma Toph, torn between what to do, made a hard decision. She destroyed the report and told my mother she had to leave the city and live with her grandparents. Aunt Lin, however, was furious that she let my mother get away with it. My grandma retired from the force a year later, and reconciled with my mom, though my Aunt Lin wanted no part in it. Sounds like your aunt gained your grandma's stubbornness. Naruto noted. You have no idea, Opal laughed. Eventually my grandma left the city and traveled the world in search of enlightenment, until she finally decided to live in the foggy swamp. Wow. So did your mom and aunt ever reconcile? Yes. When Korra and her friends came to see us, Aunt Lin was also there too. I will admit, it wasn't such a good meeting to her for me, or reunion for my mother. But my mother and aunt eventually worked out their differences and made peace. Naruto smiled, good for them. When they finished their lunch, Bolin spoke up, all right, Naruto. Time to get back to work. Ready? Ready. Naruto answered, as he began practicing with Bolin some more. Opal watched with Pablo III as the boy trained with her husband. As she looked at Naruto, she could see a bit of Korra within him. She thought to herself, he reminds me of you, Korra. And with all of us training him, I know he'll be a great avatar like you one day. In Konoha, a month had passed since Naruto had left with Jinora to the Southern Air Temple, and Hiruzen was reading the latest letter from the Airbending master about Naruto's progress with earthbending and that he was ready to start learning firebending. The old man smiled, as he pocketed the letter, and suddenly heard a knock at his door. Enter. He ordered. Walking into the room was Hiruzen's former teammates Hamura and Koharu, and his old rival since childhood Danzo. To this day they are part of his council. He greeted them, well, to what do I owe this unexpected visit? Hiruzen, we need to talk. Danzo began. And what is the matter of us suddenly needing to talk? The Hokage inquired. The whereabouts of Naruto Uzumaki. Hamura answered. Hiruzen, expecting this sooner or later, answered, why would you want to know his whereabouts? Koharu spoke, Hiruzen, Naruto Uzumaki has not been seen for many weeks. And how would you know that? There have been no mob outbreaks among the villagers. Danzo replied. Hiruzen's eyes firmed, that's how you keep tabs on him. We came here to see if you knew where he might have gone. Danzo continued, ignoring his question. You three have taken no interest in Naruto's well-being, and now that you have not seen him you're all of a sudden concerned. The Hokage asked, containing his anger towards them. Hamura spoke, you know it is dangerous to let a jinchuriki out of his respective village. Especially for one so young. Koharu put in. Danzo added, if something were to happen out there to stir up the nine tails, whatever consequences would happen would be on your head. Hiruzen stood up, that's enough out of the three of you. Hamura and Koharu backed down a bit, while Danzo didn't flinch. Naruto may not be in the village now, but he is in good hands. So you do know where he is? Danzo questioned him. Yes, but I refuse to tell you three anything. What? His teammates gasped. You keeping secrets to yourself is an act of treason, you know. Danzo inquired smugly. Don't talk to me about treason, Danzo. Hiruzen warned him to back off. Besides, Naruto may be a jinchuriki to you. But you'll soon find out he's much more than any of us had ever imagined he'd be. What do you mean by that? Hamura inquired. Like I said. The day will come when you realize it, he answered, now leave me. The three took their leave, while Danzo still looked at the Hokage suspiciously. When they were gone, the Hokage sighed in relief. Meanwhile, around the Southern Air Temple below the mountain, Naruto, after successfully learning earthbending from Bolin, was now learning firebending from his older brother Mako. He was first learning all the basic started moves before actually learning how to firebend. Mako, who was demonstrating the movement, spoke. You got the right form, Naruto. Just keep it up. Yes, sensei, Naruto answered, as he followed his teacher's moves, so is it true that firebending was once fueled by rage and anger? That's right. Long after the time of Avatar 1, the Fire Nation twisted its original teaching of being fueled by overpowering force tempered by the unflinching will to accomplish tasks and desires, Mako explained, from the stories I read. Avatar Aang and Fire Lord Zuko had to travel to the land of the Sun Warriors to learn the original art of fueling firebending. They learned it represented energy in life. Since then Zuko found the true way to use firebending rather than rely on his old instincts of anger and hate. How much do you know about Fire Lord Zuko's history? Naruto asked, and Mako stopped. Well, I could tell you the story. Maybe it'll help inspire you. Bolin did say hearing about Chief Bifong's past helped inspire you. Alright, Naruto said, as the two sat down, start from the beginning. Well, a long time ago, Zuko was born the first child of Fire Lord Ozai and his wife Princess Ursa. He lived in his father's shadow even at a young age. Fire Lord Ozai felt Zuko lacked that spark to use firebending, and was eventually planning to cast him out. But with the help from Ursa and the Fire Sages, Zuko was given a chance, and succeeded in firebending. But even when he proved his worth to his father, things still weren't at peace. And Zuko's younger sister Azula made it no better. Zuko had a sister? Naruto asked. Yeah. But she was a crazy one, Mako explained. She was born already gifted with the ability to firebend and their father praised her, while she boasted on and on making Zuko feel more inferior. But despite the negativity thrown at Zuko, his mother was always there for him as a pillar of strength. But one night she disappeared, and was labeled dead. Yikes! Naruto gasped. It turned out Fire Lord Ozai at the time was ordered by the current Fire Lord Azulon to kill his firstborn as a way to get Ozai to realize the pain of losing your own child, especially when he requested to be made Fire Lord instead of his older brother Iroh who was meant to be Fire Lord. But was too caught up in sorrow after losing his son in a battle. So what happened? Ursa had learned of this plan by Azula and spoke with Ozai and concocted a plan to spare Zuko and get Ozai the throne. What did they do? Ursa created a poison for Ozai to use however he pleased. Ozai accepted it, but in return requested Ursa leave the land for fearing he may end up getting a taste of poison himself. She wanted to take Zuko and Azula, but he promised they would be safe with him, and if she tried to take them would hunt her down. So Ozai poisoned his own father and gained the title of Fire Lord, and Zuko's life was spared. That's a relief. Yeah. Well, the story of Zuko isn't going to get better so soon, Mako continued. When Zuko was only 13 he wanted to sit in the war room to listen about the plans for war. When he questioned a general's plan to sacrifice many of their own, he was forced to partake in an Agni Kai. Agni Kai? A firebending duel, with one's honor as the prize. Anyway, when Zuko was brought to the arena, he was surprised to discover he was meant to duel his own father and not the general he questioned. Why's that? Questioning a single general was questioning the Fire Lord himself, Mako spoke. Zuko refused to fight his father, and that ended up costing him the duel, his honor, and in the end was left with a burnt scar on his face's left side. Ouch! Naruto cringed at the thought. To further add salt to the wound, he was banished from his home and stripped of his birthright. The only way he could redeem himself was by finding the Avatar who had long since disappeared. The only ones he had was a single ship and crew, and his uncle Iroh. That guy sounded like he had a rough life. Naruto gasped, starting to sympathize with him. Mako nodded. For 2 years, Zuko had been out at sea on what seemed like a meaningless quest. During the time Iroh had tried to help teach Zuko more firebending, and teach him about the other good things in life. When Aang had returned, Zuko spent a very long time trying to catch him hoping to restore his honor. But after some things happened, Zuko realized it was his destiny to help Avatar Aang defeat his father. After a very unsteady beginning, the members of Team Avatar welcomed Zuko into their group where Zuko was able to teach Aang firebending, and partook in the final battle against Fire Lord Ozai. After the war ended, Zuko took his rightful place as Fire Lord, and with Aang's help accomplished many more tasks, like building Republic City, and finding his long-lost mother. Awesome. Naruto smiled. Mako nodded, but still, during Zuko's early years as Fire Lord was still a challenge to him, especially with the reputation his family's legacy had. But he still had friends to help him through his troubling times. Just as Korra had me, Bolin, Asami, everyone. He smiled. Naruto smiled, and asked, so is it true you and Korra were an item? Mako looked at him, and asked, where did you hear that from? Naruto smirked, your brother. Mako groaned, Bolin. I'll have to have a word with him later. So did you? Naruto asked, eagerly to know. It was very long ago. When I first met Korra I didn't really think much about her. Bolin did mention you were quite a stiff. Naruto chuckled, as Mako felt more embarrassed. Anyway, after she helped us out in a pro-bending match I grew to respect her. At first I thought of her only as a friend, especially since I started dating Asami whose father helped us out of our debt problem. But even as I was dating Asami, a part of me continued to grow closer and closer to Korra. I ended up ending it with Asami, and chose to be with Korra. Wow. So how was it dating the Avatar? Naruto inquired. A wave of issues, he answered, while we cared about each other. I was put into a lot of pressures about supporting her. There were times when she turned to me for support on certain matters regarding her position of Avatar or Tenzin's teachings. When I try reasoning with her or supporting her she'd take it as if I was taking others' sides and not hers. Eventually, she was willing to try and do something drastic to stop a civil war between the North and South Poles behind President Reiko's back, until I stepped in and stopped it. We broke up because of that. Whoa. Naruto gasped. I once tried going back with Asami, but it didn't last any longer. So you just remained single afterward? Naruto asked. For a long time, yes. But enough about me. Let's get back to your training. Mako instructed, as the two got up and began practicing some more. A few days later, Naruto and Mako were still practicing, and Naruto was finally using Firebending. He launched his fists forward sending 2 fireballs at 2 training dummies lighting them on fire. Mako who was watching him, spoke up. Your aim is improving, Naruto. Just keep concentrating. Right. Naruto answered, as he concentrated and started firebending more and more targets. As Naruto continued to train, Bolin, Asami, and Opal arrived. I see he's coming along with his firebending. Bolin noticed. No doubt because he has a great teacher. Asami smiled, and Mako chuckled. Ahem. Bolin cleared his throat. Not that you're not a great teacher too, Bolin. Asami changed her choice of words. Mako spoke, watching him train like this is just like watching Korra. I know. Bolin admitted. The 3 watched while remembering all the good times with their old Avatar friend. That night in the temple's statue room, Naruto stood before the statue of Avatar Korra, looking up at it. He gazed into the eyes of the statue, almost as if he was expecting something to happen. A voice snapped him out of it. Naruto, what are you doing in here? Naruto looked back and saw Jinora. Oh, Master Jinora. Don't sneak up on me like that. He said in relief. Sorry. So what brings you in here when you should be in bed? I thought if I stood before Korra's statue maybe I can communicate with her or something. You know, like how she was able to talk to Aang and Wan? Naruto asked. Jinora smiled, trying to make a connection to a past life doesn't always come easy to the Avatar, especially for one starting out. Korra wasn't able to fully talk to Aang or Wan so easily, until she was able to tap into the Avatar state. But the training my Sibs and I have for you to undergo when you're ready to learn Airbending will be able to help you with that. Until then, you still have more firebending lessons to learn from Mako. She held him close. I understand. He answered. Good. Now come along. Time for bed. She escorted him out, before he took one last glance at Korra's statue. Naruto was once again training with Mako in learning firebending, but this time was practicing to use lightning. So far he wasn't managing so well, which was starting to irritate him. Man, why can't I do it? Naruto grumbled. Mako chuckled, easy, Naruto. Not every trick can come to a bender just yet, especially one of your age. Even if you are the Avatar. That's for sure, came a voice. The two looked and saw Milo approaching. How has Naruto's firebending training been going, Mako? Very well, Milo. Although his ability to channel lightning is coming along slow. The older man answered. Well, perhaps he needs some time off from learning firebending. Milo suggested, Naruto, it's time me and my siblings taught you some airbending. Naruto gasped, all right. Follow me, please. Milo ordered, and Naruto did before looking back. Thanks, Mako-sensei. I'll see you later. Good luck, Naruto. Mako replied, as he watched the two leave. Later on, Milo and Naruto stood before some rotating gates. The old man explained, this will be your first exercise in learning how to airbend. What do I got to do? Naruto asked. Airbending is all about spiral movements. When you meet resistance, you must be able to switch direction at a moment's notice, Milo began, you are to maneuver through the gates without touching them. But the catch is you must do it while they spin. How can I do that? Naruto asked, seeing it looked impossible. Milo smirked, as he held a single leaf in his hand. He used his airbending to start the gates spinning, you must be the leaf, Naruto. Flow with the air. He released the leaf, as it was drawn into the spinning gates and moved through them without touching before reaching the end. Be the leaf, Naruto repeated, okay. Milo used another gust of wind to restart the gates, begin. Naruto ran for the gates and started maneuvering through them, or rather was dodging for his life. He ended up smacking into one gate followed by more until he fell out through the other end groaning. Ouch! He groaned. Milo stood above him, do not be discouraged. Korra wasn't able to master this exercise right away herself. You just have to be patient, as said multiple times by my father. All right. Let's try again. Naruto said, as he took a position back by the starting point. Milo watched as Naruto went through the exercise again, managing to avoid conflict from the gates, but eventually got nailed and stumbled out of the gates. But that wasn't stopping Naruto, as he continued multiple times. The more times he tried, the less times he was getting hit. After his 15th try, Naruto panted, as Milo spoke, what say we take a break? Yeah. I could use one of those. Naruto panted in exhaustion. So the two were relaxing, as Naruto waited to be back at full strength so he could go for another go at the exercise. Milo spoke, while you've yet to complete the first exercise with ease, you're still progressing well. Especially since you're so determined. I'm not going to stop until I get that exercise down. Naruto assured the old man. Milo smiled, you know Korra herself was also struggling how to use airbending when she first came to Republic City. But she was determined to master it, especially when dealing with Amon. Who's Amon? Naruto asked curiously. The very first enemy Korra had encountered when her days as the Avatar started. Milo explained. Could you tell me the story? Naruto pleaded. Milo smiled, well, why not? Naruto got comfy, as Milo began, well, to understand Amon I need to tell you how it started long before my time. It was during the adult years of my grandfather Aang. Him and Chief Beifong had apprehended a crime boss known as Yakuan. He was a danger to Republic City because of his unique ability to bloodbend at will. Bloodbend, what's that? Naruto asked. A form of waterbending. Bloodbending allows the user to manipulate the fluids inside of a person's body and control them like a puppet master. That doesn't sound pleasant. But why did you say, at will? The catch to this dangerous form of bending is that it can only be used on a full moon. At least that's how it normally was. Grandma Katara, after being tricked into learning waterbending from a former of the Southern Water Tribe, used bloodbending and was scarred from it. After the 100-Year War, Gran outlawed that form of bending. Whoa. Naruto gasped, now back to Yakuan, he could do it at will. That's right. After Yakuan was convicted, he used his blood bending to try and escape, but my grandfather removed his ability to bend, and Yakuan was put behind bars. That was supposed to be the end of him, but Korra found some hidden secrets about Yakuan she got from a reliable source. What? Yakuan had managed to escape from prison and fled Republic City. He altered his face and took on a new identity. He moved to the Northern Water Tribe and fell in love with a woman who would eventually become his wife. Together they had 2 children, the oldest Naruto and the youngest Tarlok. They lived a happy life together, until Yakuan discovered both his sons were born with waterbending. At that point, he taught them to master their bending abilities while being fueled for his hatred of the Avatar and his bending stripping power. Then one night he took them on what was supposed to be a hunting trip, but he instead told his sons the truth about himself, and that they also have the ability to blood bend. He started taking them on hunting trips on full moons to train them in the art of blood bending. Tarlok was a slow learner and lacked the motivation. Naruto on the other hand had mastered it when he was 14. Then to further push them past their limits, Yakuan ordered his boys to blood bend each other. Tarlok refused to do it, and Yakuan was furious at his youngest son's weakness. Before he could harm his boy, Naruto bloodbended him to protect his brother. Notak decided to run away and start anew and offered the same chance to his younger brother. But Tarlok refused, and Naruto left on his own. Eventually Yakuan passed away as did his wife. Whoa. So does this Naruto have connections to Amon? Naruto asked. Milo answered, Naruto was Amon. What? Naruto gasped. That's right. Over time, Naruto discovered he could use his unlimited blood bending ability to strip a bender of their ability to bend permanently. He eventually adopted the alias of Amon and formed together a cult known as the Equalists. I've heard about that from Jinora. What are the Equalists? Amon's followers. Non-benders who were led to believe all benders oppress those who cannot. Amon, using a false story about how his family were farmer folk and were killed by a firebender and that his ability to take away bending was a gift bestowed upon him, was able to persuade non-benders to follow his lead. Yikes! Naruto gasped. During Korra's arrival at Republic City, Amon was doing all he can to stir up the conflict between the benders and the non-benders. And all those who tried to fight him ended up getting captured and stripped of their bending. Every chance he struck he was always a step ahead of everyone. He even made Korra shake in fear. What a jerk. Naruto frowned. Well, Amon wasn't the only one stirring up trouble in the city. Who else was there? Tarlok. Wait, Naruto's brother? Milo nodded. Him and his father believed Naruto had died out there when he left them. Tarlok went on to become part of the Republic City Council, using various shady and risky methods to obtain his position and for power. The actions he sought to enact and the criticism he had put on Korra was only making things worse in the city from both sides. When he started arresting civilians who weren't equalists, Korra tried to stop him, but Tarlok revealed his blood-bending ability and captured Korra to keep her out of his way. Eventually Amon discovered this and removed Tarlok's bending and taken him hostage. Korra found her way back to us, and after discovering Tarlok told her the truth about his past and Naruto's. Wow! When Korra and the rest of her friends went in to fight Amon and the Equalists, Korra exposed Amon for the fraud he really was, turning his followers against him. Naruto fled the city and reunited with Tarlok. We had thought they had gotten away, but sometime afterward a destroyed boat and 2 bodies were found, both being Tarlok's and Naruto's. What happened? We assumed that Tarlok had taken both his and his brother's lives for the sake of all. Milo answered. Whoa! Naruto gasped in shock. Once Amon was defeated, the Equalists were disbanded, but still there would always be someone who felt as if benders would oppress non-benders. Just not on the same level of dangerous as Amon was. I can't believe that Naruto felt that benders were evil. Well, in a sense he was right. There are benders out there who use their ability to hurt innocent people. Fire Lord Ozai was the same. Amon may have wanted equality for all, but his ideals blinded him too much. He chose a path that led him down into darkness. Naruto looked moved by Milo's story, before standing up. Let's continue. Milo wondered. If people like that existed out in Republic City, then I can assume there are people like Amon who exist in the ninja lands as well. If I want to be the Avatar, I need to know all 4 elements so that if someone like him comes along I can be there to stop them. So let's get back to airbending. Milo smiled, seeing Naruto's confidence and determination has jumped back up. So he brought Naruto back to the gates and started the exercise again. After trying it twice with only crashing fewer times, Naruto stood ready to give it one final try. Be the leaf. Naruto thought to himself, as he envisioned himself as a leaf, and ran into the gates. Milo watched as Naruto moved through the gates perfectly without touching them. He smiled, seeing the lesson was finally sinking in. When Naruto came out from the other side, Milo approached. Well done, Naruto. I did it. I actually did it. Naruto cheered, as he jumped around in excitement. Milo laughed. I remember how spirited I was when I was about your age. Let's go for another few rounds. Naruto pleaded, as he continued to go through the course more times to make sure his first success at it wasn't a fluke. That night as Naruto slept in his quarters, he could hear a female voice echo in his thoughts, Naruto. Naruto. Naruto started looking stressed as the voice continued to call out to him. He eventually woke up gasping. He looked around his room seeing nothing out of the ordinary. What was that? I must be working too hard, I'm starting to hear things. He fell back asleep. The next day he was practicing producing puffs of air from Ikki. When Ikki saw Naruto was slowly getting the hang of it, she started teaching him more air bending techniques such as air funnels, air blasts, and air punches/kicks. The old woman watched as Naruto was using those techniques on dummies and targets. When Naruto finished the last dummy setup, Ikki clapped. Very impressive, Naruto. I see Milo wasn't joking when he told me of your progress. Thank you, Master Ikki. Naruto bowed his head in respect. Why don't you take a break? I'll tell you a story about how Korra first truly changed the world. She offered. Okay. Naruto said, as he took a position by his second airbending instructor. Before I do. Jinora did tell you about the story of Avatar 1 and Rava, correct? She did. Good. Then I won't have to go over those details. What's this story going to be about? How Korra was able to reunite the spirit and the humans. Ikki began. After the events of the Equalists, Korra and her friends attended a Southern Water Tribe Spirit Festival which was originally meant to honor the spirits. Okay. Naruto listened closely. Among the guests was Chief Analik of the Northern Water Tribe, and Korra's uncle. Korra's uncle? Naruto asked, as Ikki nodded. Analik and Korra's father Tonrak both lived up in the north, until Analik got Tonrak banished. Banished? How and why? Naruto asked in confusion. Analik had always been interested in spirits. He learned about the legend of Wan and Rava and their battle against Vato. He was believed it was a mistake for Wan to close the portal to the spirit world and leave the spirits there, creating imbalance. So he devised a plan to reopen the portals in the north and south poles where he would release Vato from his imprisonment. Whoa! Naruto gasped. Before that he needed power and authority. Ikki began. With him being youngest, it was his brother who would be next in line for position as chief. So he devised a plan to hire barbarians to attack the north. They fled into a forest sacred to spirits. When Tonrak brought his men to attack the barbarians on sacred grounds, it stirred up the spirits dwelling them, turning them into dark spirits. Dark spirits? Yes. Spirits feed off the energy of those around them, negativity and hatred corrupt them and they turn into dark spirits. By use of this the spirits attacked, and Analik, using a form of spirit bending known to waterbenders, guided them back to the forest. Because of Korra's father's reckless choice and for endangering their city, was banished from the north. With him gone, Analik was given the title of chief. Creep. Naruto grumbled. Since then he waited patiently, until the new avatar would arise. To his surprise it was Korra, the daughter of his own brother. He offered to train Korra in the spiritual sense rather than my father, but he and Tonrak implored Korra to not follow him. But Analek played Korra by revealing that the reason why Korra was sheltered and kept hidden away in the south wasn't the word of Avatar aim, but their choice. Why would they lie to her? Naruto asked in confusion. You'll find out down the road, Ikki continued, with Korra furious about all the lies told to her by her father and Tenzin. She went with Analek, who told her to begin she would need to open the first portal located in the south. She was successful, but afterward things only got harder. How? When northerners came to the south, they started setting up blockades for the southerners, who started protesting on Analek's idea of opening the portals. Tension started rising among both sides, and Korra was powerless to do anything about it. But Analek told her she needed to focus more on opening the portal in the north. However, various southerners started leading secret revolts to take down Analek and were all captured, even Korra's parents, for being under suspicion. So then what happened? After Korra discovered what happened between Analek and her dad years ago, she and her friends broke her father and the other southerners out of jail and took them someplace safe. But the civil war between the sides was still going on. Korra tried various times to get people to help her, but none of them came to her aid. Now I see what Mako-sensei meant, why he and Korra broke up. Naruto realized. Ikki nodded. Korra tried to enlist the help of the Fire Nation but was attacked by a dark spirit and gained amnesia. After looking deep inside herself and discovered the truth about Avatar 1 and Rava, she caught onto Analek's true motivation. What was that? Analek didn't just want the spirits to return. He wanted to set Vato free so they could fuse together and become the Dark Avatar. Dark Avatar? Naruto gasped, not liking the sound of that. Yes. With Vato's power, Analek would bring about a new age for the humans and spirits. He managed to succeed and threatened Republic City. He even dealt a lot of damage to Korra by not only severing her link to all her past lives including Juan and my grandpa, but ripped Rava out of her and destroyed her. But how did Korra become the Avatar again if Rava was gone? Naruto questioned. Ikki explained, Rava and Vato represented light and darkness. One cannot exist without the other, and even if one were destroyed they would return again differently. How's that? Well, if Rava were to actually destroy Vato, the little bit of darkness that exists in Rava would grow until Vato was reborn again, starting the battle once again. Darkness and light? Naruto asked. Yes. In every light there is always a shadow of darkness, but in the deepest darkness there is always a ray of light, Ikki explained. Naruto listened to this, started putting two and two together. Korra looked deep into Vato and pulled out what little light he had in him to bring Rava back. After refusing, Korra was able to use her spirit bending on Unavachu, vanquishing them both. Awesome. Naruto smiled. Ikki nodded, though the events of harmonic convergence when both portals were opened stayed opened by Korra's decision. She agreed that it was time the spirits did return and that a new age where both spirits and humans lived together. So spirits do live among us? Naruto asked. Yes. All over the land spirits had begun living among the humans. So how come I've never seen spirits in the ninja land, or anyone ever reporting them? Ikki answered, because your ninja lands are a breeding ground of hatred. And the spirits don't like feeding off hatred. You understand? Yeah. I do, Naruto admitted, recalling all the times he talked with Hiruzen about constant conflict between each of the nations, be it for power and authority, so the spirits and the humans conversed easily afterward. Not that easily, Ikki replied, after the events there were still some issues to work with. Like after the spirits returned, spirit vines started to grow throughout Republic City. And many of the citizens weren't so fond of them, especially the president. But change is never easy, and over time the spirits and the humans continue to learn and adapt with change despite setbacks and struggles. I see. Naruto answered, and thought on about the concept of change. Sometime later, Naruto was meditating with Jinora for a while in the temple, until both let out a breath. That was good meditation, Naruto. Thank you, Master Jinora, Naruto thanked her, before speaking, Master. Yes. When I learned about harmonic convergence from your sister, it changed the world, uniting the spirits and the humans. But there was more than that to come from it, wasn't there? Jinora, seeing he was starting to figure things out, answered, yes. The effects of harmonic convergence not only brought back the spirits, but also awakened airbending for many ordinary people, like Kai and my uncle Bumi. So that's how the airbenders were reborn. It was a start to bring back balance among the nations, Jinora admitted. Korra, myself, and our friends ventured throughout the Earth Kingdom in search of airbenders. Kai being one of them. But we found out the Earth Queen at the time had been taking airbenders prisoner to train them for an army she was building. Sounds like a greedy woman. Naruto scowled. You have no idea. Jinora replied. So did you rescue them? Yes. My father, my siblings, and I taught the new recruits airbending. Though it was difficult at first since they had no idea what being an airbender was all about, and my father getting his hopes up too high. But eventually we pulled together and trained a new age of airbenders. However, another person was granted the ability to airbend, someone who like Analek almost destroyed Korra. Who was that? Zahir. Jinora answered. Zahir? Naruto asked. Yes. He was part of an organization known as the Red Lotus. Red Lotus? That's right. When Korra was just a child, after she was discovered to be the Avatar, Zahir and others including Analek were set to capture Korra. Only for Zahir and his closest comrades to be betrayed by Analek. They were sentenced to special prisons to negate their certain bending abilities. Is this really why Korra was sheltered? Yes. To protect her from any other member of the Red Lotus that might still be at large, Jinora confirmed. Anyway, 13 years the Red Lotus were interrogated about their motives, but none of them cracked. So, this one guy Zahir became an airbender? Naruto asked. Yes. During his lockup he began studying on air nomad culture, preferably the legend of Guru Legima. After he used his newfound bending to escape his prison, he went to collect 3 of his closest allies. Gazan, a lava bender, Minghua, a water bender who used water for arms being armless, and Ply, a combustion bender. So I guess they sought Korra like they did before. They did. They infiltrated Zaofu and tried to take her, but were unsuccessful. Still, Korra was determined to find them. She ended up meditating into the spirit world and found Zahir. Zahir came clean and told Korra everything about the Red Lotus. Analek's plan to use Korra to free Vaatu and fuse with him was not part of their plan. Rather, they themselves wanted to train Korra and make her see their ways. Their ways? As I said before, Zahir studied the air nomad teachings very hard, and developed a strong belief in airbending's representation of freedom. He believed that the world should not have leaders, and that mankind should be in charge of themselves with no rules and laws. That is the ultimate freedom in his eyes. I don't know anything about laws and rules on a ruler's level, but aren't they what keep things in order and not chaotic? Naruto asked. That is true, but Zahir believed chaos was the only true order. He wanted to usher in a new era and leave behind the old one. Starting with the genocide of every ruler in the nations. Whoa. Naruto started getting worried. He began by killing the Earth Queen, and all of the Ba Sing Se was thrown into chaos. He and his friends even took over the Northern Air Temple and captured the Airbenders, my mother, everyone. Zahir forced Korra to give herself up for their safety. And she did. Zahir then captured Korra after an enticing battle and wanted to end the Avatar cycle by killing her while in the Avatar state. With the Avatar gone, man would be allied only with himself and loved ones and in natural order without borders nor an Avatar. The poison he used seeped into Korra and drove her insane. She escaped, but through her blind rage for thinking Zahir had murdered her father mercilessly attacked him. Oh, man. Naruto gasped. Thankfully they were able to stop Korra and apprehend Zahir. Su bended the metallic poison out of Korra so she regained herself, but she was still messed up afterward physically and emotionally. This Sahir sounded like an absolute psycho. Naruto said, after listening to the story. Yes. He also had certain good intentions, but he became too blinded by his beliefs he nearly threw the world out of balance. But he was a very special airbender. How so? He unlocked the ability of flight. Flight? But can't you guys do that already? Only with the use of gliders or wing suits, Jinora corrected him. Sahir was able to fly without using either. How's that possible? Remember how I said he studied the teachings of Guru Lagima? Naruto nodded. That guru was the first to discover the secret to weightlessness and unlocked the airbending ability of flight. By relinquishing his earthly attachments, Lagima achieved flight and was able to live the last portion of his life untethered from the earth. Whoa! And Sahir did the same? He did. After watching the death of his loved one Ply, he let go of his last earthly tether and unlocked the ability of flight. That would be so cool if it wasn't used by a madman. Naruto said. I know. He was the second airbender to have unlocked it, Jinora explained. Even with Sahir locked up once again, and the airbenders freed, there was still the matter of the crisis in the Earth Kingdom. With Korra in rehab we all had to work together in restoring balance. Awesome. Jinora smiled, and looked serious. Remember, Naruto, while you are not born an airbender like Korra, it is important you use the teachings of the air nomads wisely, unlike Sahir who violated the air nomads' laws of taking lives. While it's true the Avatar is meant to take action, you must always remember the possibilities of peaceful negotiating before violence. I'll remember. Naruto promised, as the two smiled and decided to get another hour of meditation in. The very next day, Naruto was using what airbending he learned to create an air scooter to ride on top of the same way Aang and the other airbenders have used. Supervising him were Kai and Rohan. Naruto laughed as he rode around on his ball of air. This is so awesome. He cheered, as he continued to ride around. Oh, to be that young and spirited. Rohan said. Yeah. Kai agreed. Naruto pulled to a halt and jumped off his spherical ball of air that dispersed. Oh, Master Rohan, your grandfather was a certified genius to make up something like this. I know. Rohan nodded. You're doing well for airbending, but there's still more for you to learn if you aim to be a master. Kai explained. Yes, Master Kai, Naruto bowed his head. So I was wondering, do you two know of the story that happened with Korra after the events of the Red Lotus? Kai spoke. I know it the most. Could you tell me about it? I want to know more about Korra. The boy pleaded. Kai and Rohan looked at each other, before smiling, and Kai answered, very well. The three sat down, as Kai told Naruto the story. Since you know of what happened after Sahir was brought back to prison, I'll continue from there. Korra was brought back to the south for rehab with Master Katara. While me and the new airbenders vowed to restore balance in the Earth Kingdom. However, our attempts to restore balance to the Earth Kingdom was constantly conflicted by another who sought to restore the Earth Kingdom in her own way. Who was that? Naruto asked. Kuvira. The two old men answered together. Who's Kuvira? Kai answered. Kuvira was captain of Zaofu's guard who aided in our mission to rescue the airbenders from the Red Lotus. After we brought them to justice we all sought to restore the Earth Kingdom, but Kuvira had other intentions. She grew up under Su Bifong's supervision after her parents abandoned her as a child. During that time she became heavily influenced by Su's progressive ideology of modernization and self-fulfillment. She was able to stabilize Ba Sing Se and was appointed as the nation's provisional leader. She set out to reunite the rest of the kingdom and earned the title of Great Uniters. But it didn't stop there. Rohan spoke up. According to my siblings, Kuvira tried to convince President Reiko, Su, and Tenzin to help her reunite the Earth Kingdom. Su, however, felt Kuvira's actions would make them appear as conquerors and would bring about war. Kuvira, unable to persuade her, left Zaofu with Su's oldest son Batar Jr. Kai continued. Kuvira since then, traveled to states overrun by bandits and bargained with their leaders, offering protection and supplies in return for their allegiance to her. However, once the towns were stabilized, she forced the citizens into slave labor in order to serve her war effort and sent off those who would not cooperate to re-education camps. This Kuvira is starting to sound like a dictator. Naruto started. Exactly. Rohan confirmed, as Naruto listened to Kai. 3 years after the Red Lotus incident, Kuvira stepped up her mark by seizing control over the Earth Kingdom and turned it into an Earth Empire. She even threatened the other world leaders to not stand in her way or she would retaliate without mercy. This woman is starting to scare me. Naruto shivered. The two nodded. She continued from there, taking back more cities belonging to the Earth Kingdom, including Zaofu. When Sue and her family tried to stop Kuvira herself, she had them arrested and brought in. Korra, after coming out of her funk, tried to stop her, but couldn't bring herself to bring her down. Then Kuvira wanted to take Republic City by using a giant mecha suit powered by harvest spirit vines from Foggy Swamp. Opal, Bolin, Toph, and Lin managed to break Sue and her family out and get them back to the city to warn us of the threat. When Kuvira arrived with her giant mecha suit and her army, they nearly tore apart the city with her spirit cannon, Kai continued, until Mako and Bolin got inside the suit to disable it from within. When the mecha suit shut down, Kuvira still tried to take Korra down with her spirit cannon. Korra managed to energy bend the beam and as a result opened up a new portal into the spirit world. Kuvira, realizing she lost, stood down, and the two returned to the human world where Kuvira was taken into custody. Did Kuvira ever manage to make peace with Sue and the others? Naruto asked. It took a few years, but Sue and her family eventually forgave her. Especially Bataar Jr. after she tried to sacrifice him just to get Republic City. Korra really did deal with a lot of crazies driven by powerful beliefs. Naruto realized. Rohan nodded, yes. They each may have had good intentions. Amon wanting equality for all, Analek bringing back the spirits, Zahir believing in freedom, and Kuvira wanting to unite all. But they took their ideologies too far and were threatening to throw the world out of balance. If Korra was not there to stop them, there wouldn't be a world today. Kai finished. And will I be facing people like that down the road? Naruto asked. We cannot be certain, but as long as war exists there will always be people like those guys, Kai answered, but as long as the Avatar exists to help maintain balance in the world then there will always be hope for the people of nations and lands. Naruto nodded, as he continued to process everything. That night in the Temple of Past Avatars, Naruto once again stood before Korra's statue looking up at it. Korra, I don't know if you can really hear me. But I want you to know I'm learning all I can about you. You were amazing with all you've done and accomplished. I hope one day I can be a great avatar just like you. Mako, Bolin, Jinora, Ikki, Milo, Rohan, and Kai will make sure of it. I don't know what lies ahead for me in the future. The obstacles I'll face, the people I'll meet, but I know no matter what I'll face them head on and won't run from them. So I hope you'll watch over me when I do. He bowed his head to the statue before leaving the room to head for bed, unaware of the eyes of Korra's statue glowing before fading. End chapter. So this part ends here. If you want to see next part of this series, like the video now, and share the story with your friends. Bye bye.